Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, and it's time for another early morning book review. And yes, I'm in my pajamas again. Yes, I haven't gotten dressed from work yet, but these are my pineapple pajamas, so they're different. You're gonna see every set of pajamas that I own these days, and you're just gonna have to get used to it. But anywho, we are going to be reviewing Dorothy Eden's Ravenscroft. Can you see that there? Yes, he's holding her. And I have to say, unfortunately, she's dead. So I got this book. It says it's the first American edition. I got this book at Half Price Books a while back, and I've had it stored away and I haven't read it. And I read one other Dorothy Eden, which I will post the video if I can find it around here about this time, called Crow Hollow. And I hated Crow Hollow. I thought it was silly. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought, whatever. I am eating my words, eating them, because Ravenscroft was excellent. It was absolutely excellent. I could not put it down. Let me set it up for you. So we've got these two young women, two sisters. We've got Isabella and Eulalia that they call Laylie. They call her Laylie. And father's just died. They come into London in order to stay with his sister-in-law, and they find out that the sister-in-law has moved to Ireland, so they don't have any place to stay, and it's snowing and it's cold, and it's like it's a desperate situation. They don't know what to do. They don't have a lot of money because they weren't they don't have a lot of money anyway, but they weren't expecting to have to find lodgings and everything like that. So in the coach with them is a woman by the name of Aunt Agatha. And Aunt Agatha is like, oh, come and stay with me, girls. It will be fine. You can stay with me until we get you a new position and everything like that. Because they want to be like seamstresses and stuff like that. And so Aunt Aggie, not to be trusted. So they go to Aunt Aggie's house and they meet her son Noah, and he's like a big hulking brute. And, you know, he's like, yeah, come on in and stay, and it's no problem and everything like that. And they, at first, consider themselves very fortunate that they found this lovely woman. Now, she's staying in basically the slums. They're staying in the slums, but they're like, well, it's only temporary. It's only until the snow melts, and then we'll be able to get jobs and move on and everything like that. Of course, Aunt Aggie has other plans. Then they start hearing shrieks in the middle of the night, and they start hearing horrible things, you know, like groanings and shrieks and everything like that. And Laylie, who's borderline nutty anyway, gets very scared about this. And the next morning they wake up and they discover a baby. There's a baby in the house, but the baby's not crying. Like, the baby's in the cradle in front of the fire, and the baby's not crying and everything like that, and they can't figure that out. And they're like, why is the baby not crying? Why is the baby not wanting food? Why is the baby not, you know, the baby doesn't look right and everything like that. And then the next thing we know, the baby's gone, and there's a freshly dug hole in the backyard. Well, this sends Laylie over the edge. So Aunt Aggie tricks Laylie into drinking some laudanum. Is that how you say it? Laudanum, everything like that. It's a sleeping potion. Tricks her into this sleeping potion, and Isabella doesn't get tricked. She doesn't drink it, but she can't wake Laylie up. So Isabella gets locked up in the room with Laylie, who she can't wake up, and she calls out the window. She throws up in the window, and she calls out the window, and she's like, help me, somebody help me, we're being imprisoned in here and everything like that. And who should answer but Guy Raven? who is this dashing, nice looking, well, he and Dr. somebody, we'll call him Brushfield, I think his name was, something like that. And they rescue her, and he takes them to the house, and they stay in his beautifully appointed house and everything like that. And he's like, he's explaining to them this scheme. And what the scheme is that these women get these young girls to come stay with them, and then they medicate them. They give them these sleeping draughts, and they put them on ships, and they basically send them overseas to brothels. And they're trapped in these brothels and everything, which I thought was really surprising and brilliant, and I thought it was really interesting about the whole scheme and how it was very common back then and how they knew all about it. So anyway, they're in Guy's house, and he's up for Parliament, and he just gets ripped in the papers for having these two unchaperoned women in his house. And so he gets ripped in the papers for that, and he comes back and he says that he's going to have to marry one of them. And he wants to marry Lolly because Lolly is so pretty. Isabella is pretty, but she's not beautiful like Lolly is. And so Lolly freaks out, and she's like, I'm not going to marry somebody that I don't love. I'm not going to do that. Don't make me do that. I'm not going to do that. So Isabel goes to Guy, and she says to him, if you want to marry one of us, it's going to have to be me because you can't marry Lolly. So Guy's like, okay. He's like, but here's the thing. It's totally a marriage of convenience. I've been married before. I lost her, and I lost my infant child, and I'm never going to love anybody again. So just get used to that. I'm not going to. And then he also tells her he's not going to be faithful. He's like, I will have my excursions in London and everything like that, and I'm going to take you to Ravenscroft, which is my not spooky old mansion. It's not spooky at all. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's got gorgeous grounds. I'm going to take you there, and you'll just live there, and I'll live in London, and hopefully this whole thing will blow over. And Isabel is not satisfied with that. She's like, no, we're going to be married. We're going to be married 100%. We're going to be married 100%. And so she badgers him, and she badgers him, and she's after him, and she's after him, because after they get married, she wants to share the wedding bed. She wants to be a wife. She wants to have children. She wants the whole thing, everything like that. So she finally badgers him so much that he eventually just throws her on the bed and basically rapes her. And she is so shocked by his violence, which I was shocked by it too. So shocked by his violence, but she makes a commitment that she's never going to cry in front of him. She will not show weakness in front of him. And then a child is born, and then Aunt Aggie gets sentenced to prison, and then she gets out of prison, and then there's a murder on the Ravenscroft land, which is totally attributed to Guy because he's been ripped in the papers for all of this goings on. And we have a wonderful character, Aunt Henrietta, who is writing letters to Isabella saying that while her husband is in London, he's having all these affairs and she needs to do something. And Isabella's like, well, I don't know what to do because he told me he was going to have all these affairs. And it was just really riveting, the plight of these women in Victorian England, where they had no rights, they had no recourse really, other than to take whatever salvation was offered to them at the time, be it Aunt Aggie or Guy Raven, who at the same time had they had the same level of cruelty. It was just displayed differently. It was just Aunt Aggie put on a show of being nice, but Guy Raven never put on a show of being nice. And at the end of the book, there is no I love you scene. There is no, people get rescued and things like that. but there is no all of a sudden they fall in love kind of atmosphere. It is just, I thought it was just amazing. And I'm such a fan of Dorothy Eden now. Now all I want to read is Dorothy Eden books, because even though I blasted Crow Hollow and I thought Crow Hollow was so silly and ridiculous and everything like that, Ravenscroft I thought was almost a woman's rights book. I wouldn't go quite that far, but I was just, the whole plight of these women and what they went through. Lolly goes mad. And the whole treatment of mental illness during this Victorian times, and what they're wanting to do to her, and what Isabella won't let them do to her, and everything like that. It was fascinating. It was just a fantastic read. I'm going to give it, oh, Twitch. I'm going to give it a 4 stars. No, I think I'll give it a 5. I think I'll give it a 5 because it was really, really good. I couldn't wait. I'm holding on to the camera so the cat doesn't knock it over. I couldn't wait to get home at night and read it. Just amazing. So 5 stars. Oh. 5 stars. And I'm going to have to hold it in my hand. 5 stars and 2 thumbs up for Dorothy Eden's Ravenscroft. And I will be looking for Dorothy Eden's on my next adventure out looking for books. I will be looking for some more Dorothy Eden's. If you have read Dorothy Eden and you have some books to recommend, please let me know. I would love to know. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic Thursday, and I will check you later.